along, competition with other bears would come along, and she would come back around people. And at the time, in the early 2000s, where we were managing Spirit, they had the focus on managing a bear's behavior and not on managing the people's behavior. So that meant that they were removing the animal, but none of the food attractants were being removed. And so every time Spirit came back to Whitefish, there was food waiting for her. And so she's just getting reinforced that something scary is going to happen, but if she can find her way back to that town, there will be plenty of food in that town. And that was a process that repeated itself 5 times. So she was relocated from Whitefish 5 times, found her way back to the same town 5 separate times. The last time she was relocated, she was moved 100 miles across the Canadian border. She found her way back to Whitefish in 4 days. She knew at that point it was well worth it for her to find her way back, and of course, as soon as she came back to town, she immediately got into trouble getting into human food again. But the ultimate reason why she was actually brought to the center is that when a bear turns 6, is when they start to reproduce. And Spirit came out of hibernation with 2 cubs that year, and this was 2002, which was a severe drought year. Spirit was one of many conflicts we saw with bears that year, and that same pattern of behavior repeated itself. She brought herself back around people, but this time she started to teach her cubs to come around people. And unfortunately, at this point in Spirit's life, she had so much experience around people, she had lost her caution on the roadsides, and one of those cubs was actually struck and killed by a vehicle. And unfortunately, that is a really common story for grizzly bears. The leading cause of death for wild bears is human interaction. Whether it's them getting too comfortable on the roadside like Spirit, or having to be removed from the wild like Spirit because of this food conditioning, or getting into livestock conflicts and being shot in defensive property, we are their leading cause of death. And so we do really want to encourage you, while you're here in Yellowstone, and anytime you find yourself in bear country, to make sure we are securing all food, garbage, and attractants. Attractants are anything with an interesting smell. It does not have to be food, so things like shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, toothpaste, clothes you've cooked in, soda, lemonade, even just sugar water can bring a bear around us. And so we want to make sure those things are